Hello, my bookish friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jules. Thanks so much for being here. In this vlog, I'm going to be reading my very first Kristin Hannah book, as well as reading Outside of My Comfort Zone. This should be interesting. Let's see what this is about. Women can be heroes. When 20-year-old nursing student Frankie McGrath hears these words, it's a revelation. Raised in the sun-drenched, idyllic world of Southern California and sheltered by her conservative parents, she has always prided herself on doing the right thing. But in 1965, the world is changing, and she suddenly dares to imagine a different future for herself. When her brother ships out to serve in Vietnam, she joins the Army Nurse Corps and follows his path. As green and inexperienced as the men sent to Vietnam to fight, Frankie is overwhelmed by the chaos and destruction of war. Each day is a gamble of life and death, hope and betrayal. Friendships run deep and can be shattered in an instant. In war, she meets and becomes one of the lucky, the brave, the broken, and the lost. But war is just the beginning for Frankie and her veteran friends. The real battle lies in coming home to a changed and divided America, to angry protesters, and to a country that wants to forget Vietnam. The Women is the story of one woman gone to war, but it shines a light on all women who put themselves in harm's way and whose sacrifice and commitment to their country has often been forgotten. A novel about deep friendships and bold patriotism, The Women is a richly drawn story with a memorable heroine whose idealism and courage under fire will come to define an era. So, one of the reasons it's out of my comfort zone is I am not a huge history buff. And I'm not a huge war buff. I don't typically like to read those type of books. I will say, I started the audio for this and I was like a couple chapters in and I was like, I have to have this, physically have to have this. And it was mentioning letters that some of the soldiers were writing home. And it reminded me that I have a stack of letters from my grandpa to my grandma from when he was in the Korean War. So this is my stack of letters. I acquired these. Obviously my mom, I take care of my mom now, and so I acquired a lot of stuff of hers, and she had stuff from my grandparents, and this was one of the things that was very special that I am keeping. So I had already put these in order and started reading some of these like last year, a couple years ago. I just never finished them. I do want to actually get these in like some type of albums so that they can be preserved. So I'm going to be very careful with them because they are very old. So these range from February 1951 through May of 1953. Obviously, I will show you along the way as I'm reading some of them. I may just sporadically grab some and see what I come about in them. And then I do also want to find, I also have a ton of pictures that I need to go through that I acquired. And I know somewhere in there is probably pictures of him when he was in the war. So he was in the Navy. Hello friends, I wanted to come back and do an update before my thoughts are gone out of my mind. As you could probably see by the clips, I read some of my grandpa's letters tonight. I will share my thoughts on that in a moment. I've done a little bit of tabbing in the book. I am on page 95. So we're following Frankie. Frankie's family is wealthy. Her brother has just signed up to go to the war. Her family is very much like wants to show off like all the men in the family that have gone to the war and all of their efforts and medals and everything that they've done. So, but there's no women on the wall for anything. So she got her RN and she's going to do nursing. She was treating a soldier that was back from the war. He made a comment that one of the nurses, when he was in the war, is one of the people that kept him like alive and gave him hope to keep, to get better and survive. So it made her think, oh, I can go to the war and I could go be a nurse in the war. Well, her family is of like the naval line, and she wanted to apply to go into the Navy, but they required like 2 years of medical work, like on-site medical work, before they would ship you over to the war. So she ends up signing up for the Army Nurse Corps because they don't require that. She can just go. So she told her parents heard her mom was like, oh, that's not a joke. Stop joking around. Both her mom and her dad were basically like, women don't go to war. The men do. And she's like, well, I am. So she takes off and goes to the war. And so we're just really where I'm at now. Like everything is just going over her getting there and just like the craziness and unsureness of what's going to happen. Like she doesn't know what to expect. And she shows up and everybody's just so like rush, rush, rush. We got to get you to here. This is where you're going to stay. And this is what you're going to do. And she starts off just tending like, cause her RN is like, she literally doesn't know how to do anything. So like basically just wrapping wounds, cleaning wounds, and things like that. She doesn't really know how to do a lot of her skills are not much. And so basically she gets set in a hospital where there's not a lot to do. It's not like the really crazy like emergency area. So she spends a little while doing that, and then basically she's just learning as she goes, and then she's moving on to getting up into the really like surgical ER part of it, assisting with that. So yeah, I am really enjoying it so far. It is good. And so tonight I decided to read some of my grandpa's letters. So my grandpa was in the Navy. He was assigned on the USS Manchester. And before he left, my grandma and grandpa were not together before he left. So my grandma was still a senior in high school when he went off to the war. So these letters started when they were just talking, I guess. And so it was kind of funny. One of these, I need to find it. I kind of held up as I was reading, but hey, let me find it again. So I haven't edited this yet, so I'm sure I will probably keep in part of the clip where I'm like laughing hysterically. Me and my husband were discussing this. It's about to fall apart, but it is an application for a date with a sailor. Wait. And so my grandma filled this out. My grandpa sent this to her and had her fill it out. And we were laughing because one of the questions is, first of all, it says, it has your name, your address, color of your hair, height, weight, age. It has a place, it says figure, check. Either trim, good, fair, or poor. I know you can't see it, but anyway, my grandma did not have a poor figure. Like she was fit. So she just must not have self-esteem. It says, do you drink? She says, yes. I'm assuming they meant, do you drink alcohol? And she put, it says, if so, how much? 6 glasses of water a day. So we were dying laughing. We're like, seriously? And then it just says, do you dance? Yes. How often? Now and then. Do you neck? That is what we were laughing at. Do you neck? We're like, What? I mean, we know what that means, but like, obviously, do you make out? And it says yes, when. It depends on who I'm with and where. Do you make whoopee? It says sometimes. It says why, to pass the time away. It was just hilarious to see these questions. I think it's just was like a funny haha between guys and their girls. Just kind of like a, almost like a Mad Libs, but dating edition. I think it was just all supposed to be fun and games between the sailors and their whoever they sent it to. Anyway, I just thought it was hilarious. So I only got like 12 or 13 of these read, and there's a whole stack. I'm obviously probably not gonna get through all of these letters before the end of this vlog, but they're sweet and endearing, like him, talking to her about what he likes about her, and that, how he feels about her and wants her to be his girl, and then obviously later you get into some where he wants to marry her. Things progressed very quickly, but it's very sad because he always starts the letters with something sweet and about her, asking about her, and then he does go into descriptions of what is going on in the war, and seeing dead bodies, how many hours they were shooting guns and firing or bombing, and how many soldiers they approximately killed and things like that. And it's kind of sad to envision just the thoughts and things that he talks about, and like the tiredness of it. Some of these letters are very light, and his handwriting is not good. Like his handwriting, he did cursive, but it was very slanted and just so thin and slanty. So it's very hard to, let me just see if I can hold this up to you. It's very hard to make out those words. So sometimes I had to, especially if it was light with like a pencil or whatever, I need bifocals, and I ordered some, they're coming. So I was like this, and I'm having to read like this, like very close so I can see them. And as I had these letters so close to my face, I was like, what am I smelling? And I smelled this is the one. I'm going to try not to. I smelled the letter, and it smells like him. Anyway, I started bawling. And my husband came over and gave me a big hug. But my grandpa was like, I knew this vlog was going to probably wreck me. But my grandpa was like my dad. So my mom and dad got divorced when I was like 2. So my dad was not around. So my grandpa was like literally my stand-in dad. He was my dad. And he's been gone. He died 6 months after my daughter was born. So he's been gone 19 years. And it just hit. Like, I don't know. Like, I've obviously accepted him being gone, like, and I miss him every day, but like, everybody's grandparents die at some point, and you deal with that grief. But like, I was not expecting the grief to hit me like that. And it just came out of nowhere, like literally nowhere. As soon as I smelled it, it set me off. So anyway, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop crying, guys. Anyway, yeah, I wanted to show. So he was on the USS Manchester, and this is the paper, and it's like a textured paper, and it has their ship at the top of it. I just thought that was very cool. And I know, and I'm going to try and find, because I know I have a book. There's actually like a yearbook type thing that has like the USS Manchester on it. But, yeah, anyway, so I had to share that. I had to share one of these letters. Look at the sexy lady in the corner. That just cracked me up. And then this is a Western Union telegram. And he sent it to her to inform her like where he was going to be. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. It was from July 4th, 1951. And they literally had to type up, go this way. They literally had to type up the things, and then they cut them out and like glued them onto this paper. Is that not the coolest thing ever? I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to like, I'm glad I did this. And so this whole vlog was for a book that's completely out of my comfort zone. So if this had not been picked as my in-person book club, like I don't know that I would have ever picked this book up. And I don't know that I ever, at some point I would have gotten back to these letters. Because like I said, I did pick them up and started reading them, you know, a year or so ago, like after my mom moved in and I acquired all her stuff. I found these and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I want to read those because I didn't know she had them. I'm going to keep reading some letters this week as I'm doing I'm doing a readathon this week, so I got to read too, but not just letters, but I'm also going to look through pictures and see if I can't find his naval pictures. But anyway, that's my update for now. Hey friends, I am back with an update on the women. I am about at the 50% mark, a little over 50%, but look at all these tabs. I am loving this book. Surprisingly loving this book. I did not get to do any updates yesterday. I was reading yesterday. I had an author event that I went to last night, so I didn't get to really do any reading. And then I was reading some today between work, and I'm here. Liv is having Patreon sprints tonight, so I am getting some reading done. But I am about to listen to it some more while I go make some protein donuts. I have not gotten any more letters read. I think after I get my donuts done, it's almost 8 o'clock. So I think the donuts don't take long to make at all. So I think I'm going to go make those and then sit down and switch over from the book to reading some of the letters. And hope I don't cry again. So we're just following Frankie on her journey while she's in Vietnam and just seeing her transition from being a brand new nurse into everything that she's had to go through, all her experiences, and trying to save people's lives in the middle of a bunch of chaos, and just the anxiety and a heightened, sense of fear while you're trying to work and save people's lives. It's a lot, and it's crazy, and I can't even imagine. Like, I could not imagine the type of anxiety that one would have to have, like, in the middle of a war. She's forming relationships with people, so we get to see her friendships grow between people that she's working with, and experience losses of those people, not just in death, like some are deaths and some are just them leaving, because everyone's coming at different times, so their tour times are different, and so some of them are forming bonds, but then some are leaving and going home, and then reading some of the correspondence between her and the people that have left, and then them getting home and not knowing what to do with themselves, and life is so different. And then, we follow Frankie after she's done with her tours to go home, and it's just a lot different than she thought it was going to be. She thought she's doing something good for her country and helping people, and then she goes home and everybody is just going about their lives like it's nothing. The homecoming was not what she expected from just the citizens in general, and as well as her parents. She was not expecting. Her father's like very cold to her, and definitely, and she can't tell if it's because of her going to the war or if it's because I can't say something else. I almost had a spoiler, my bad. And then her mom is just a very, let's just get back to life, let's go to brunch, let's go to the country club, have friend dates, and get your hair done, and be, she wants her to just be this person who she was before she left, and that's obviously not who she is. And so we just kind of are going through right now. We're just kind of going through her coming home and trying to figure out what she's going to do with her life. And basically she's starting over. Like, she's done all these great things in the war, but back home, that doesn't mean anything to them. And so she's basically at the bottom. So that's kind of where we're at now. But yeah, I am really liking this book. And I'm loving the audio. So I would highly recommend. But anyway, that is my update for now. And hopefully tomorrow I can maybe sit down and try and go through some pictures. Friends, I am back with an update, and I apologize in advance for the no makeup, but I knew that I was going to cry reading this book today. I have like 45 pages left, and I'm already broken. So I'm not sure how I'm going to finish the end of this. But I wanted to come in with my updates. So I put in some little clips of, I did find today pictures. I found a picture of my grandpa in his sailor uniform with my grandma. Very, very young, obviously. And then I showed some clips of the yearbooks that I found of the USS Manchester, of the ship that he was on. And his name and picture in there. But I do want to read some little clips from that and discuss that a little bit more. But my thoughts right now are like full on in this book. So Frankie's having a rough time. That's all I gotta say. The amount of loss, and then hope, and then loss, and then just like the hopelessness that she's going through is astronomical. So Frankie she's back to work. She's a nurse. She's working her way back up, and you know, she moves on from, I don't want to have too many spoilers, because if you're going to read this book, you need to experience every single loss and every single happy moment and every single ounce of hope and then every ounce of devastation that Frankie goes through. So I don't want to tell you anything of that. Just know that she lost something and had to move on and was going to move forward, accepting a different outcome of her life, and a new future for her life. And then she lost that all over again, and then found the something that she lost originally, only to be blindsided by lies and another loss again. And so she hits rock bottom. I don't know that I was expecting this part of the book, but it does talk about suicide. She is at her rock bottom and she can't find help. So there are people that are helping Vietnam veterans. They have a place for them to go to try and get help for their anger and their nightmares and their, mental health issues, but they don't consider her a veteran. Every time she has reached out for help, they're like, well, this is just for vets. This is just for veterans. And she's like, I am a veteran. And they're like, no, you're not. And she's like, yes, I was in Vietnam. And they're like, but you didn't see war. But she saw a lot of bad stuff in that war. And she still experienced, hearing the gunfires and the bombing and seeing the destruction of the war. But they won't help her because they don't consider her a veteran. So she can't get the help she needs. So obviously she is self-medicating, by drinking and drugs. And she doesn't think that she's suicidal, but she also just wants it all to go away. So this is part of the book's hitting me bad. So I feel, I don't even know now that veterans get the help they really need. Not just veterans, but mental health in general is not, we've come a long way. We are coming a long way with that. But mental health in general is just not talked about as much as I feel like it should be. And people aren't helped as much as I feel like they should be. Or people don't feel like they can ask for help because it's so taboo to have mental health issues. It is a real thing that needs a real solution for people to feel like they can get the help they need. So this book is wrecking me. I did grow up in a household with somebody who had a mental health issue. So most of my life I dealt, with the back and forth, the good times, the bad times, I'm not good enough or I shouldn't have problems because if I have a mental problem, it's not right, or I'm broken. So this part of the book's just really hit me hard because of the mental health and the, mention of suicide, with losing my brother to suicide. I don't get me wrong. Like I 1000% would read this book again. This whole book has brought out all kinds of emotions in me this week. But anyway, so I am going to finish this last 48 pages that I have, and then I'm going to come back with some final thoughts. Hi friends, I am back. I'm put back together because I was broken last night. I had to sit in my thoughts for a while. I loved the book. The ending, I mean, yes, it was still a little sad, but obviously not as sad as the part where I was at when I made the video yesterday. Before I go into my final star rating and everything, I wanted to share with you guys. So this is how tiny the picture was that we found, but I found like 3 copies of these. They are just the cutest. Anyway, I think I'm gonna frame this, and I'm probably gonna hang it in my house somewhere. I mean, I really suck at hanging pictures in my house, decorating in general, but I'm gonna find a place for this. But I wanted to read, so these were the diaries that he had. They call them, it says Pacific Diary, USS Manchester, but I feel like they're more like yearbooks. It's literally a book of like their time on the ship and everything they did. It was just so interesting. I haven't actually read it all. I just was like looking through the pictures. Look at this picture. They literally took pictures of them. This is at Christmas getting their mail packages, and I think it's just pretty cool. So I wanted to read a couple things. So this is the Task Force 95 says our target, it says Communist Korea, and I'm just going to read from it, and it's got down here the ship firing when they're firing their guns. It says, on January 28th, the Manchester began her fiery career in Task Force 95 off Kosan, Korea, north of parallel 38 on the East Coast. During the bombardment, which began at 1500, our helicopter was fired upon by one of those hidden Korean shore batteries. Result, no casualties. Result for the afternoon, Manchester expended 9 tons of explosion, destroying 1 concrete power station and 1 large warehouse, damaging a steel girder bridge and 3 other warehouses. I doubt it was very cool for the people that were in it, but it is very cool for someone like me to see. Those are like first-hand accounts. They literally have pictures and a description of exactly what happened at that time and a recap of it. And that is just very neat to me. And I'm not a history, like I said, I'm not a history buff. But to be reading my grandpa's letters and knowing that these are the things and the experiences that he was having, it's just very impactful. But another thing that I was going to read, this is at the end. It says, and so a diary closes. 10 months and 76,000 miles later, men of the Manchester could look behind to a record of success their teamwork had made possible. With 29,602 rounds of 6-inch and 5-inch ammunition expended, the ship's gun had rendered useless miles of railroad track and highway complex. They had destroyed entire areas of transportation facilities, 35 bridges, 2 freight locomotives, 3 freight trains, 165 barracks, warehouses, and other buildings, 35 trucks, 37 gun emplacements, 6 power stations, 30 junks and mine-laying craft and oil dump, a lumber yard. An estimated 6,815 Red troops had been killed, 5 industrial staging areas destroyed, 1 large staging city over 50% destroyed. And this, revealing only a fragment of the experience her men shared, will someday be a little more than an indefinite recollection. But the Manchester, they will never forget her. Powerful. That, just this Manchester ship did all that destruction. And just to think about how many ships there were and how many troops were there and the length of the war. Definitely want to read some more in those, and I'm definitely going to keep reading his letters and his experiences that he had. And I am very fortunate to have these items. Like, they're just treasures. And I feel like the handwritten communication between people is gone. Unfortunately, obviously we do everything through text or emails or, Facebook. I am giving it 5 stars, and you cannot change my mind. I think everybody should read this book. I don't, even if you, like I said, even if you don't read historical fiction, even if you don't like war, this book is impactful. This is about women being seen when they were not seen. This is about mental health and finding your way out of that. And this is about hope. I don't even have the right words to describe this book without just telling you to just go read this book. So I have my in-person book club tonight for this, and I am excited to discuss this with the girls. I am very glad I read this book. I'm very glad I did this vlog. This is probably my most impactful vlog that I have done, that impactful for me and possibly anybody else. But since I've started YouTube, this is probably my favorite vlog I've done so far. I do want to say thank you to every soldier out there, whether they are still here or gone. Any man or woman who has served our country in any capacity, you are appreciated and you are seen. Also, if there is anyone out there watching this that has mental health issues, just know that you are also seen and that you are worthy of getting help, and you deserve that help. I can't say that you will get, that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and that that's something you get through and you're done with it, because not everybody does. Do some people have mental health for a little while and then they get help and they are over that? Absolutely. Are there people that deal with mental health on a daily basis and that is their journey? That is their life. That is something that they have to deal with every day? Yes, there are people with that as well. And you are also worthy of getting help and being seen and being loved and appreciated for you as a person, for who you are. If you know anybody who has mental health, be there for them. Can't tell you the right words to say, tell somebody that has mental health, because there are plenty of words that I tried to say that I thought would help. I'm going to get emotional again, you guys. I can't give you the right words to say to someone. So what I would, my biggest thing I could say is to just let them know that you see them and that you love them, and just listen to them. Let them be the one to choose when to get the help. You cannot force somebody to get help for something if they're not ready for it. So I am so going to end this vlog before I start crying again, you guys. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to give this video a like, subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and until my next video, friends, be yourself, be awesome, be kind.